Hey, can I say something crazy? Okay, what? The Buffalo Bills are 8-2. Wait, what? Yeah, that's right. The Buffalo Bills are 8-2. Let's talk Indy. Let's talk Bills. Colts. Bills on Bills post game right now on Sports for Beginners. Let's roll. Let's get it on. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Buffalo defeated Miami 30-27. Last week, this week, they defeat the Indianapolis Colts 30-20. They came into this week sitting at 7-2, a record of 7-2. The record for the Indianapolis Colts was 4-6. 4-5, excuse me, coming into this game. After this game, Indy is now at the Indy record for the Indianapolis Colts, I should say, is 4-6. Welcome, Bills Mafia and football fans alike, to another edition of Bills Postgame. Before we get started here, I want to wish all the Bills fans here as we get ready for Chiefs Week in Buffalo next Sunday. Mark the start time, 4:25 p.m. Mark the start time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Live in Buffalo, it's the Buffalo Bills against the 9-0 undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to talk about it all in a matter of moments. But ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how impressed I am that the Bills were able to beat Indianapolis 30-20 today in Indianapolis to get their first win in who knows how long. The last time these two teams met, back in week 11, Indianapolis defeated Buffalo 41-15. This year and this season, of course, that was in the 2021 season, of week 11. This season in 2024, in the in the 10th week of the season, the Buffalo Bills pick up a 30-20 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. Before we get down to business and take a quick little break, happy Victory Monday to you, Bills Mafia. As I said in the opening, the Buffalo Bills defeated the Indianapolis Colts 30-20, and we're going to break it all down in just a few minutes' time. But before we do, time now to jump into our head coaches and our quarterbacks for this game. Quarterbacks for this game for Buffalo, as always, it's number 17, Josh Allen. For Indianapolis, the quarterback was Joe Flacco. Indianapolis's coach. The Indianapolis coach for this team is Jim Ariza. Jim, if I pronounce your last name wrong, I apologize. So that's Jim I, and that's what I'm going to use there for the short form there. Oh no, sorry. Jim I is the owner. Of course, the owners of the Buffalo Bills are Terry and his wife, Terry Pagula. They are owned by Terry Pagula and Kim Pagula. Terry and Kim Pagula are the owners of the Buffalo Bills. The head coach of the Buffalo Bills is Sean McDermott. And for the Indianapolis Colts, I oops there on their Indianapolis Colts. I oops there on the head coach. That actually is Shane Stretchen. Shane S. with the head coaching duties. Joe Flacco with the quarterback duties against Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. Josh Allen making a bit of history in this game. But we'll talk about that all in due time. Coming up after this quick break, we'll get into our first half scoring as we break down the game, and then following the second half scoring, which took place in an eventful fourth quarter. We'll get into the game stats of the game. Then following a quick break after that, and a word from our friends over at Broadcast Map, we will give you the game ball of the game, and of course, we'll also give you the play of the game. And for game balls of the game, we're also introducing, instead of the player of the game, we're introducing the Bills standout of the game. It's a new little segment here that will be taking over the player of the game. But the player of the game is actually going to be called our game balls of the game. And the Bills standout of the game, which will follow us before we preview next week for the Bills and the Colts. That will be coming up after another quick timeout. But before we get there, let's take our first time out of the game and then break this down on the other side. So we're breaking it down from the first half. We will get into the second half after another break. After the second half, we will take a break after going over our game totals for the game. And we will roll on from there before we take a break with our play of the game. All right, so all that's still to come in due time, but you are listening to Bills versus Colts on Bills postgame Victory Monday edition on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. The Buffalo Bills play here. Back with more, and back to put a recap on this game right after this quick break. Stay with us. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Welcome back to Bills postgame. Bills 30, Colts 20. It's time to break this down. It's time to break down this football game. I was going to say baseball there, but it's not baseball season. It's football season right now. As you may have noticed off the jump, I tried a little role play there for our little short introduction. But before we get any further and go off topic, let's get into what I said we're going to get into during that first break, that first timeout. It's time to break down the game, and we're going to do it by half. So we unfortunately are not going to be breaking down the third quarter of the second half, but we will be breaking down that fourth quarter, as that was an eventful one. Okay, maybe not that eventful, but we sure had an eventful first half. Here we go. Joe Flacco. Well, that's interesting. We don't necessarily see when the Bills score a touchdown. We don't necessarily see we do see the opponent quarterback in the we do see the opponent quarterback in the area when the Bills throw a touchdown, or in this case they throw a touchdown but it's a pick by the defense. And guess what? That's exactly what this was. Joe Flacco, a pass intended for downs of Indianapolis. For James Downs, I believe it was. Sorry, Josh Downs. That was the pass intended. It's intercepted by Taron Johnson, and he takes it from Indianapolis's 23-yard line for a 23-yard touchdown run. Return, I should say, a 23-yard touchdown run to return. He will return this for a Buffalo Bills pick six, and the Bills go out in front 6-0 on Indianapolis. Extra point by Tyler Bass to make it a 7-0 game is up and good. So the Bills up 7-0. Next time the Bills get the ball, after Indy's drive stalls out, after the Colts drive stalls out, Tyler Bass called upon. Last week, he made a 61-yarder to win it against Miami. 30-27. 30-27, the final of that game last week. But in the first quarter, Tyler would be tested to make a field goal from a field goal from 29 yards out. He succeeds, And that makes it 10-0 Buffalo. Buffalo's up by 10 points. But they're up by just 7 at the end of the first quarter as Matt Gay is tested to hit a 27-yard field goal. It is up and good. And Matt Gay gets Indianapolis on the board. It's 10-3 Buffalo. Buffalo up by 7 after one quarter of play. In the second quarter, Flacco finds Goodson. He finds Goodson for a 2-yard touchdown. Extra point by Matt Gay is good. And a 7-point lead, I should say, for the Bills, because it was a 10-point lead until the field goal was scored. But it's quickly erased as this touchdown early second quarter ties things up at 10 apiece. It's Buffalo 10, Indianapolis 10. Later in the quarter, Matt Gay tested once again. This time he's got to make a field goal from 23 yards. The field goal by Matt Gay is up and good. So Indianapolis will take their first lead of the game. It's a 3-point lead for Indianapolis. 13-10 Indianapolis. But don't tell Josh Allen he's only down by 3, because he'll make it a Bills lead right before you could say, touchdown, Buffalo. Or before you blinked, rather. And he does, but he does it himself. However, flag on the play. Spencer Brown is called for unsportsmanlike conduct, a 15-yard penalty for Spencer Brown, enforced between downs. However, Allen's touchdown, which was a 13-yard rushing touchdown, will count. So the Buffalo Bills go back in front by 3, 16-3. 16-13, I should say. Extra point by Tyler Bass is up and good. So now Buffalo is back ahead by 4 points in this one. Now, late second quarter of the game and late first half, Bills on the ball now, again, after some drives by Buffalo and Indianapolis go haywire because of a fumble or an interception, and there were a few thrown by Joe Flacco. 3 of them to the exact, thrown by Joe Flacco. But we'll get to those in just a moment. Tyler Bass, with 2 ticks left before halftime, to put Buffalo up 20-13 at the half, which means they would go up by 7. He's got to hit a field goal from 47 yards. The hold by Sam Martin is good. Reed Ferguson under center. And Bass's kick is in the book. It's good. So the Bills go into halftime leading by 7. At the half, it's Buffalo 20, Indianapolis 13. Nothing much happening as well as scoring goes in the fourth quarter. Sorry, in the third quarter, but we had an entertaining fourth quarter. So not much happened in that third quarter besides probably some interceptions, but we're talking about it via scoring. So we will come back to Bills postgame and on the other side jump into an eventful fourth quarter of action between Indy and Buffalo. When we return, we will jump into it, beginning with quite the interesting fourth quarter that you would expect in this game. Following that, we will get into our game totals. And then we will, everything, you're just going to have to wait because our game ball of the game, play of the game, which is actually going to follow the game totals, and the fourth quarter summary, which is coming up soon after we take this break. But we will have the Bills standout of the game still to come in the final segment of the show after a word from our friends over at Broadcast Map, which is still coming soon. And of course, we've got my play of the game coming up. The play of the game is coming up after the game totals and the fourth quarter summary. The game ball of the game will follow that. And then at the final segment, we will get into the Bills standout of the game. Only players on the Bills, unless I feel like a player from the Colts will deserve this kind of thing, will be eligible for this award, which we call the Bills standout of the game. We will get into that prior to setting up Bills, Chiefs next week, and for the Colts. Up next for them, the Jets. So we will get into setting that all up after the Bills standout of the game, which comes your way, still to come. When we return, the fourth quarter game summary, game stats, and the play of the game, as well as the game balls of the game, time permitting. You are listening to Buffalo Bills football on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, and you are listening to Bills postgame. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
The Bills defeat the Indianapolis Colts 30-20. How did it get to this point? It's time to break down the second half minus the third quarter, because scoring didn't happen in the third quarter of the game. But after 3 quarters of play, Bills still on top 20-13, which means the Bills are still on top by 7 from the half to after 3 quarters of play. Bills go back up by 10 as Tyler Bass hits a 28-yard field goal to open up the scoring in the fourth quarter and make this a 23-13 game for the Bills. We talked about Josh Allen scoring the game's only running touchdown. Guess what? I was wrong. James Cook also hits Pater with his own. He also hits some Pater with his own rushing touchdown, which makes it 30-13 Buffalo. Of course, around the timeline of James Cook's touchdown, the Bills went up 29-13, which means the Bills were up by 16 points. They go up by 17 points with Tyler Bass getting the extra point up and good. And it's now a 30-13, lead for the Bills. The Bills up by 17 points, 30-13, the score after the 2-yard touchdown run for James Cook. Joe Flacco in the fourth quarter, down by 17. Can you get it down by 10? You can! He finds Pierce for a 10-yard touchdown, and Matt Gay on the extra point. It is up. It is in the books. And with 2 ticks left in the game, the Colts, even though it's not going to matter the Colts managed to erase a 17-point lead for Buffalo. And Buffalo is going to come out of Indianapolis with a 10-point win over the Colts at 30-20. 30-20, our final score of this game. That wraps up the fourth quarter summary. As I said, we only do it via the scoring and not anything else. So now it's time for our game stats. And for these game stats, it's time now to take a look at them. And here we go. For the team, for the time of possession, the Buffalo Bills had the ball for 32 minutes and 8 seconds. The Indianapolis Colts had the ball for 27 minutes and 52 seconds. On first downs, Indianapolis 19, including one penalty first down. 21 for the Bills, including one penalty first down. They had 9 rushing first downs and 11 passing first downs. Sorry, I meant to say passing first downs, not 11 passing touchdowns. If it was 11 passing touchdowns, I guarantee you Indianapolis would not have lost by 10 points. I guarantee you, if it was 11 passing touchdowns, Indianapolis would not, and I repeat, would not have lost by 10 points like they did today. It would have been a whole lot bigger. I guarantee you. 11 passing first downs for Indianapolis, 4 on the ground first downs. That's rushing first downs for Indianapolis. And 14 passing first down for Indianapolis. On third down efficiency, the Buffalo Bills were 7 of 14, 2 of 3 on fourth down efficiency. On third down efficiency, the Colts were 4 of 11 and 2 of 3 on fourth down efficiency. The Colts end the game with a total yardage of 361 yards on account of 61 plays, averaging 5.9 yards per play, passing for 272 yards. Joe Flacco passed for 270 yards, 72 yards, I should say, 272 yards, because that was the passing yardage for the Penguins, not the Penguins, for the Colts. The Colts passing yardage, thanks to quarterback Joe Flacco, 272 yards. He was 26 of 35 in completion attempts, averaging 6.2 yards per pass. The Bills' defense got to Joe Flacco 4 times in terms of sacks, and sacked him 4 times for a loss of 32 yards in total. Meanwhile, for the Bills, before we get to the Colts rushing yards, they finish with a total yardage of 415 yards on 70 plays, averaging 5.9 yards per play. Josh Allen threw for 280 yards. Josh Allen threw for 280 yards, completed 22 of 37 of his completion attempts, or his pass attempts, averaging 7.2 yards per pass. And he was sacked twice, but did not lose any yards each time he was sacked. In the rushing yards, we're going to start with Buffalo. Buffalo's rushing yards, 135 yards on 31 rushes. And they averaged 4.4 yards per rush. For the Colts, they rushed the ball 22 times, averaged 5.5 yards per rush, for a total rushing yardage of 121 yards. In the red zone, both teams in the red zone efficiency went 2 for 4. And in goal to go efficiency, both teams converted once, failed once. They end the game with a 1 for 2 advantage on goal to go efficiency. The Bills had 8 penalties for 54 yards. The Colts, 5 penalties for 25 yards. Turnovers, 2 turnovers by Buffalo. Both were fumbles. Actually, no, those were interceptions. The only fumble that they lost, they didn't lose any yardage on. Or they didn't have any yardage on. Because that fumble by Buffalo was recovered. Indianapolis, however, fumbled the ball twice and lost it once. It was recovered by the Bills. Or rather, the Bills recovered that bill. They recovered that. Four turnovers for Indianapolis, including 3 picks from quarterback Joe Flacco. 3 interceptions thrown by Flacco. 2 interceptions thrown by Josh in this game. 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing for the Bills, no passing touchdowns for the Bills in this game. And 1 defense special teams touchdown coming off of Karen Johnson. His pick 6. 2 touchdowns for Indianapolis in total. Both coming in the air. None of them are on the ground, and none of them are defense. Special team touchdowns. So no defense special team touchdowns for the Colts. No rushing touchdowns for the Colts. 2 passing touchdowns for the Colts. Return yards for the Colts, 24 yards. On interception yards, 2 attempts, 24 yards. No kickoff yards and punt yards for Indianapolis in this game, and no safeties for them. the Bills, no safeties, but their return yards, 84 yards in total, including one opportunity for 8 yards of a return on the punt, on a punt yardage. And in kickoff yards, they had 2 attempts, which they gained 49 yards on. Interception yards, as I said, they picked off Joe Flacco 3 times for 27 yards. So 27 yards on 3 picks thrown by Joe Flacco. Only 24 yards for Indianapolis on the 2 picks thrown by Josh Allen. All right. That'll do it for our game stats. Our play of the game is coming up shortly. But first, we're going to take that word from broadcast map. And following that, we will give you the play of the game, the game ball of the game. We're limited to 1 game ball of the game per squad. And of course, we're going to give out, I'm going to give out 2 for this game, 2 of the Bills players I thought stood out as part of our segment, Bills Standout of the Game. That is still to come. And then after that, we put a bow on this program with previewing Colts, Jets, and Bills versus Chiefs, which will be our conversation topic next time on Bills Post Game, as the Bills are 1 win away. Yes, I say 1 win away from clinching the AFC East. In the AFC, they are 1 win away from doing so. Can they do it next week against the Chiefs? The answer's to come on the next episode of Bills Postgame. But right now, our Colts recap continues after this word from Ali and Broadcast Map. We'll be back right after this from Broadcast Map. Thank you, Ali, for all you do for Sports for Beginners, and thank you so much for that word from Broadcast.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Thank you, Ali, for all you do for Sports for Beginners, and thank you so much for that word from Broadcast Map. Now, before we go any further, the victory speech is out, so I wonder, is it Sean and Josh today for Bills fans? Or is it Sean and a different player who are going to give us our victory speech? We know that Sean McDermott's going to give a victory speech, but who's got the final call? Let's find out. Let's go inside the locker room right now and hear what was said after the Bills' 30-20 victory over Indianapolis today. Gentlemen, and Sean, you have the floor. take it away, Sean McDermott.
Hey, man, that's a heck of a win on the road, right? On the road. Think it off to a great start. Hey, guys going down, guys stepping up, man. Gritty win. Proud of you guys, man. Give yourself a lot of good in that game. A lot of good in the game. Defense taking the ball away. Special teams, T-pass. Sam Martin punting the heck off the ball. And then offensively, that last drive, that was elite, man. Elite. We needed 17. Hey, win's the only thing that matters, man. That's it. We got to 8. Let's go get to 9. 1, 2, 3.
It was Sean and Josh. And Josh, as he always does, at the end of every Bills victory, when he's given the floor to wrap it all up with the victory speech, his classic win on 3, 1, 2, 3, win. That never, ever, 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 ever gets old. Speaking of Josh, we are doing this on voice memo, so I will leave a link to the Bills YouTube channel. But speaking of Josh Allen, before we get down to business, as we are now about 40 minutes into the show, let's go ahead and hear what quarterback Josh Allen had to say following today's win. Again, credit going to the Buffalo Bills, and if this was in video format, credit going to YouTube and the Buffalo Bills on YouTube as well as if we were to play anything when it comes down to play of the game and all that stuff, which is going to come up in just a couple of minutes. We are going to let you guys know that credit is going to go to the NFL, the league that the Buffalo Bills, Indianapolis Colts, and every other team in between, including the Kansas City Chiefs, play in. All right, Josh, what did you have to say after the 30-20 W over the Indianapolis Colts?
How impressed were you by it?
I think they played awesome. Forced some throws, made some plays. Offensively, we got to hold on to the football. Through 2, and can't have that. But gritted it out. That was a team win right there.
Look, you had some guys missing today. You had guys that haven't really played much, running pass batters for you. So what does it say that you guys were able to get this thing done with a depleted lineup?
Yeah, again, guys stepping up, knowing their job, knowing their assignment, and going out there and executing. Can be cleaner. That's me. So again, just making sure we're communicating well, and just trying to hold on the football, and we got to play better on offense.
How big was that drive at the end that put it away? Because it was still a game at the end.
Yeah, it was awesome, and we always talk about ending the game on our terms, and having the ball. I don't know. There's probably 7-8 minutes left. I'm not really quite sure. But going down there and getting 6 the way we did it, it was a long, grueling drive, and got a lot of guys that just gritted it out. And guys are hurt, playing through injuries. So I'm proud of our guys.
8-2 now, best start of your career, best start under Coach McDermott, best start for the Bills since 1993. After all the talk this offseason, what's the feeling being at this point at 8-2?
Yeah, it's awesome to get to 8 wins through 10 games. Still got a lot of season left, so we're not really looking at it as that. It's just really on to the next one.
Hey, Josh, 2 passes, 44 to Hollins, end of first half. When you're scrambling, when did you see him?
Saw him late. Saw a linebacker kind of underneath him and put one in the air for a little bit. He said that window, the sun through, so he couldn't really see it. So I'm just glad that he was able to secure it. Got out of bounds, and getting points before half was really big for us. Very proud of our guys for that 2-minute drill.
Then the slip screen that Shakir that got 30. When you watch him,
that was the biggest. I went up to him and said that's the biggest play of the game. 3rd and 8. We understood what type of pressure that they were going to bring there. Had an alert on it. We saw it. We alerted it, and guys went out there and made some plays. But again, his contact balance running through would-be tacklers, and staying on his feet. He's very elite at that, and we needed that right there.
Go ahead, son. You were without Kincaid for some, obviously the receivers. Did you have to manage frustration, or did you have to be more patient today because guys just hadn't been out there as much?
No, just trusting the play calls, trusting the guys that were in there, and just trying to run our offense to the best of my ability. And again, I don't feel like I did that today. Wish I had a couple throws back, especially early on, but we'll take 8 and 2.
You were up in the press box. We were wondering a little bit why you guys weren't running the ball a little bit more, given the receiver situation. It felt like a game where you could have got James and Ray. Well, you guys were insistent on passing. Can you maybe explain a little bit of that?
I just think just understanding what type of defense they played. They got a pretty good defensive line. We'd love to run it and get a bunch of yards, and we'd love to throw it and get a bunch of yards. So it's just kind of the flow of the game and just trusting what Joe's calling.
Hey, Josh, you obviously are aware of what's next week. 9-0 Kansas City against you guys. What kind of measuring stick will that be for where you guys are at?
It'll be week 11. Again, we're just going to try to put our best foot forward, have a good week of practice, and try to win a football game against a really good football team. Again, it's the biggest one because it's the next one. Thanks.
That's Josh Allen after the game. And yeah, just to bring it back to what Josh said about week 11 next week, home against Kansas City. He just said it will be week 11. Again, we're just trying to put our best foot forward. We have a good week of practice and try to win a football game against a really good football team. A really good football team who is, as Josh said, as they go over to the next one, he's talking about, so the Chiefs are the next one, and it's the biggest one. It's the biggest one. So the next one's always the biggest one, and that's what you got to be looking at. So with that said, unfortunately, we won't have a lot of time to preview what's next for the Colts, but we're going to try to make it happen here. So very quickly, very briefly, our play of the game for me is going to go into, you know what? I'm even shocked I'm saying this. It's gonna go to Taron Johnson for that opening touchdown, pick 6 off of Joe Flacco. One of Flacco's 3 picks played or thrown in this game. Really nice interception there by Taron Johnson. But I don't know what Joe Flacco was thinking, given the way that the Bills' defense read that he was going to Josh down for this cat. They read that and they executed it perfectly. Congratulations to Taron Johnson on the pick 6, and congratulations to our Buffalo Bills. 8 and 2. It's huge. It's huge to know you're one win away from locking down the AFC East. But again, as Josh mentioned in the post-game media availability that we just heard, you gotta take it one game at a time, but in the media availability that he said, it's week 11, so we're just gonna try to put our best foot forward and go out there next week and win a football game. Try to go out there and win a football game against a very good team a very good football team. All right. So my play of the game belongs to Taron Johnson's interception in the first quarter. But who is the game ball, or rather the player of the game, going to go to? For the Buffalo Bills, it is going to go to one of the men who picked off Joe Flacco in this game. And that is going to be Austin Johnson, who picked up an interception in this game for 4 yards. Another guy that picked up an interception besides Taron Johnson was Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp picked up an interception. Unfortunately, he did not get any yards, but at least we had some yardage from Austin Johnson and Taron Johnson as well. Taron Johnson scoring 23 yards. And not only that, my friends, but he also scored a touchdown on those 23 yards in that one attempt that he got a chance to pick off Joe Flacco, which was early in the game. All right. So it's Taron Johnson with the play of the game. My game ball of the game for Buffalo, I would love to say that it would be Austin Jackson, like I said, and I am going to keep it that way with Austin Jackson. But a quick second would have been James Cook, who absolutely was a monster in this game today. 80 yards on 19 carries, averaging 4.2 yards a carry, a touchdown, and not just that, even though that was a 2-yard touchdown, but he had his longest run as a 21-yarder, a huge gain for James Cook. Josh Allen also getting some good stuff on the ground. But the quick runner-up to Austin Jackson is James Cook. For Indianapolis, the Indianapolis game ball of the game is going to be a pick-me-up, and that is going to go to Indianapolis quarterback Joe Flacco. 26 of 35 in completion attempts, threw for 272 yards, averaged 7.8 yards per pass, threw 2 passing touchdowns, 3 picks, lost 32 yards in 4 sacks that the Bills got to him on. Our runner-up for that, well, our runner-up for that is Jonathan Taylor. It's Jonathan Taylor. 114 yards, not 54, 114 yards on 21 carries for 5.4 average. Oh, and guess how long his longest run was? 58 yards. So on 21 carries, he has ended this game with 114 yards total. His longest rush was 58 yards, and he averaged 5.4 yards per carry. So, Joe Flacco, game ball of the game recipient for the Indianapolis Colts, with Jonathan Taylor as the runner-up. Austin Johnson, the game ball of the game recipient for Buffalo, with James Cook right behind him as a close second. Taron Johnson gets my play of the game. Now it's time for the Bills standout of the game. And there are a couple of Bills I could pick to represent this award here for this week. But in the debut of this segment, we're gonna give it to Mac Hollins. Targeted 4 times, caught all 4 targets. His longest catch was 44 yards. Finishes off the day with 86 yards and averaged 21.5 yards per catch. But he was targeted 4 times, as I said, and he caught every single ball that Josh Allen threw to him. Another guy who didn't exactly catch every ball, but was targeted a couple of times, was Kale Shakir. Kale Shakir was targeted 9 times, caught the ball 6 times. In the end, he ends the day with 58 yards running, 58 yards receiving, I should say. And on that note, Shakir averaged 9.7 yards, 9.7 yards per catch. His longest catch was 30 yards. All right. So, Bills standout of the game for this game, it belongs to Mac Hollins, with Kale Shakir stopping for second. Would love to get into who was inactive in this game, but we would be here all day. So we're about to wrap it all up here. Up next for the Colts, it's Indianapolis versus the New York Jets. And after the Jets, which will be a Sunday game, right before the Bills play their next Sunday game, which is next Sunday against the Chiefs. We'll get into that in a second. But before they hit their bye week, they will play the Detroit Lions the following Sunday. And then on December 1st, 2024, they will be in Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Their bye week is on the 14th week of the season. And from there, they will play the Broncos, Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. Those games, however, are to be determined games for the Colts. Meanwhile, for the Bills, our next topic of conversation on Bills postgame will be Bills Chiefs. You're likely going to get this after the game, but just like this edition of the show, It will probably be out on your favorite podcast feed and on our YouTube channel on Monday. So don't you dare miss it. Note the start time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Then the Bills hit the bye week. Will we be AFC East champions by the time that comes around? We'll know by the end of next Sunday. Speaking of next Sunday, the following Sunday after the bye week, on December the 1st of 2024, we are playing in our final Sunday night football action of the season, because we don't know yet what the Patriots game on January the 5th is going to be yet. We're going to find out, I'm sure. In due time. If you know when the game is, please feel free to let me know. We're going off the CBS Sports app, and they have a TBA on that week. But after the bye week, it's the Niners on Sunday Night Football. The show will be coming to you the day after the game, and it should be available either on a Tuesday or later in the day after the game, which is a primetime game on Sunday Night Football right after the bye week. Then one more 4:25 p.m. game for this season. That will be the Lions in Detroit, as the Lions host the Bills. And later on, it will be the AFC East the rest of the way. The Bills will go to Buffalo to play. They will be in Buffalo, where they're going to play the Chiefs next Sunday, to play the Patriots following the Lions game. They will stay in Buffalo the following Sunday after that to play the Jets, and then off to Foxborough for the final matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. But one game at a time. The Bills can clinch the AFC East and close the door on any of the AFC East champions or division opponents in Miami, the Jets, and the Patriots, if they can pull off a W. And I say a W, which will be probably the biggest club dub, or the biggest dub of the season. If they can defeat the Kansas City Chiefs and force the Chiefs to a 9-1 record next Sunday, check your local listenings for where to catch the game. I don't know about you, Bills Mafia, but I'm looking forward to this game. And I'd suggest we all be on the edge of our seat, because you never know what's going to happen in Buffalo when the Bills Mafia is running around, especially with the Chiefs in town and Taylor Swift in town as well. We don't know if Taylor will be at the game. I don't know if she will, but I would say it's pretty likely considering her Eras tour is making a stop in Toronto over the course of that week. And speaking of the Chiefs, they would have been 8-1 going into that game against Buffalo next week if it weren't for a blocked game-winning field goal by the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs stay perfect as they block a game-winning field goal by Will Lutz to beat the Broncos 16-14. Josh takes on Mahomes on our next edition of Bills Postgame. But right now, that is going to do it for this episode of Bills Postgame. When we come back to you on our next Monday show for Bills Postgame, we will be coming back to you probably with another 1 hour program like this one, because we're now about an hour or 7 minutes in to the show. But probably with another 1 hour program is going to happen. Will this be another Bills win? We certainly hope so. But it'll be even sweeter if we win the game. And not only that, hand the Chiefs their first loss of the year. Can we do it? I think we can. My name is Scott McGregor. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. The door is open to you. Have a great week. I look forward to catching up with you again next Monday on Bills Postgame to recap Chiefs versus Bills. Bills, Chiefs, next week on Bills Postgame. I am Scott McGregor. Thank you so much for joining us on Bills Postgame today. Bills Mafia, the door is open to you. Go enjoy your Victory Monday. And I will see you next week after Bills and Chiefs. Note the start time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Shout. Take us out of here. I want to go enjoy Victory Monday with Bills Mafia. The way that Bills Mafia knows how to do it. I want to go enjoy my Victory Monday now that we're done with this show. And I suggest Bills fans, you do the same. One win is all we need to secure the 5th straight title of the AFC East in the Sean McDermott era. Shout. Take it away. And let's get on out of here. Because as Kelly McDonough would say, when the door is open to the weekend, the door is open to you. Get on out of here, will you? Take it away, Shout.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. You got the spirit. Shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. You got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now. Hey.
Hey, hey,
Let's go Buffalo.
let's go Buffalo. But Bills,
Make me wanna.
yes they do. Go enjoy your Victory Monday. Go Bills. And I will catch you after Chiefs and Bills. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.